Hi, James Jones, Director of the Mid-Pacific ICT Center in San Francisco at our 2013 Winter Conference with Carrese and Zhenya Lindstrom. And you guys are with the California Community College System and the Economic and Workforce Development area, and you work for Centers of Excellence, right?
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure.
What does that group do?
Well, we're funded through the state Community College Chancellor's Office to do workforce and labor market research for the whole state of California, and we have 5 centers in the major regions of the state. And we're really trying to understand the regional economy and understand what employers are looking for for their workforce, and work with community colleges to provide the kinds of training and education that students need to get those jobs that are in demand in the regional economy.
So it's helping schools develop labor market information and also more detailed input from employers about what they're looking for in their workforce.
That's right. We do employer surveys to understand exactly what their needs are. And then community colleges have a chance to look at their curricula and adapt their offerings based on what employers are saying.
Mm-hmm. So there's an industry sort of sector focus component of that, and then there's also a geographic focus to that.
Exactly.
Because different geographies are different. And
right. So in the Central Valley, we might be studying agriculture as one of the key industries in that region. We might be studying in San Francisco ICT and healthcare, but there are certain industry sectors that cut across the state, like healthcare actually, and ICT. They might be more concentrated in one area, but we're really interested in all of the key, on some level across the state, all the key industries that drive the California economy, and then drill down in specific regions of the maybe the more focused industry sectors that are critical and unique to that one region.
Great. And we've done some good collaborations in the past. We looked together for the first time at information and communication technologies in California as sort of a bigger bucket term.
Right.
And how many jobs are involved in that? What do those industries look like? And there were some really eye-popping results. You know, some big industry impact and big employment impact, and sort of raised awareness about the strategic importance of ICT in the state. So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we may want to just mention we're currently working with MPICT, the Centers of Excellence and MPICT are partnering on a study to look at the Department of Labor's foundational competencies in ICT, the technical competencies, and try to validate that Department of Labor model for what they believe are the most important competencies for ICT. We're trying to validate that with California employers. Right now, doing a survey that's in the field. We're trying to get 750 responses from California employers that will tell us, yes, these competencies are what we're looking for over the next 2 years from our ICT workers, or maybe not, but we want to get some gauge from employers through the survey of whether this DOL model really is accurate.
because we need to know in a statistically significant and defensible way what employers are looking for in their workforce. And current advisory models where you just ask a handful of people to talk off the top of their head aren't doing it. You know, there's too much variety in what we're offering as a system. So we're going after this in a really interesting and new way. It's fun.
That's right, and we're looking across all of the sectors, all of the industries. We're looking across all of the regions to make sure that we have that representative cut of employers across the whole state, across the sizes of employers.
Right. Our goal is to share that information once that survey is done with colleges so that they hopefully can use that to revise, modify, and even create new curriculum that can better align with what employers have said that they're looking for, just as we do with all of our studies.
Can't wait to share that with everybody. But in the meantime, there's all sorts of other great stuff that you're doing. You recently put one out about smart grid, right?
Yeah, the intersection of utilities and the electric grid and how that's being transformed by ICT. So this intersection of ICT and the electric grid is a really important area to look at, how that's evolving over the short term, but also the long term. And we have a new study out at our Center of Excellence website. That's www.coeccc.net. And you can find the Smart Grid report at /energy. It's the latest report there. And it's really an overview of what is smart grid, why is it significant to the California economy, how is ICT changing what electric grids and utilities will be doing, and how it ultimately, the real point of this study is beginning to look at what the workforce needs are of utilities and ICT firms as they begin to create this new grid, this new smart grid that will look very different than the current one-way grid that we have now. Really what's being created is a two-way grid where consumers of electricity will be able to interact with the producers and we'll have a very dynamic interaction between producers and consumers of electricity.
Yeah. So this is something that's coming relatively soon and is going to impact all of us. We've already seen smart meters in a lot of our homes, but it's taking this electrical transmission and distribution network and building sensors and controls and analytic capability into that so that it operates more efficiently and we can better connect suppliers and consumers in just the ways that they want to.
Right.
And lots of job implications for that. People need ICT skills to make that work.
Absolutely. Right.
And what else are you doing in your zone? What have you produced recently?
I think one of the big studies that we've done last year was the Inland Empire Healthcare Study. So it's a look at the Inland Empire region, which includes San Bernardino and Riverside counties, and looking at across all of the healthcare program offerings, across all of the institutions, and completion of certificates and degrees, and also looking at healthcare demand for employees. What occupations are in demand and how many are going to be needed in the next couple of years, and then kind of calculating that gap, what community colleges and other schools are offering, and where is the gap or where is undersupply. The study was driven by industry group, was done in collaboration with employers and was validated by employers. And is creating a lot of conversations in the region in terms of what can we do to better meet employer needs of that sector.
Great. But I guess you're here talking about a new initiative, STEM in 20.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, STEM in 20 is, I think, a very important and exciting initiative. Again, this one was funded by the State Community College Chancellor's Office. They're very interested in looking at not just what we typically look at is maybe 2 to 4 years out in the labor market in California or in our regions to try and understand the workforce supply and demand issues. But this study actually is looking 20 years out. What will the California economy look like 20 years from now? What will be the key industries in the state? And what will be the occupations or prototypes of occupations that might be in play at that point 20 years from now? So it's an ambitious undertaking to try and look that far out. It's sometimes the labor market tools that we're used to using aren't really relevant. You know, it doesn't kind of work the same way when you're looking that far out. So with this particular project, we partnered with a group called Institute for the Future. They're in Palo Alto, and that's what they do. They're futurists, and they helped us really begin to imagine what the California economy might look like 20 years from now. And a big part of that was understanding what are the drivers of change. So if you go to our website, again, it's www.coecccc.net/STEMin20, so STEMIN, and then the number 20. You'll see this report, and you'll see the foundational report that the Institute for the Future did to help us kind of understand more about what the future economy is going to look like in California, what's going to be driving change. And then we kind of took it from there. The Center of Excellence team began to look at, based on that report, the 7 key industries. And many of them will be the same, actually: agriculture, information and communications technologies, for example, healthcare. They're still there, but what we'll talk about in the report, when you look at it, you'll see how the drivers of change have influenced and affected that industry to make it look very different. And then also we'll begin to try and look at some prototypes of occupations within that industry and what they may look like, and how they may be different than the current occupations in that industry. So that's kind of a high-level overview of the report.
Right, the occupations are, they might materialize or might not in 20 years from now. So it's a very kind of high-level look, but we're looking at trends, and most likely those skills that are listed in the report will be needed by the employers in 20 years. Some of the drivers of change that John mentioned are big data, which is talked a lot about at your conference. Even last year, it was a big topic here. Healthcare divide. So there are trends that are cutting across. There are kind of demographic trends and technology trends, and they're influencing and transforming the jobs that people are doing today, and that what they will be doing 20 years from now.
So I need this little cheat sheet. I'm on Zhenya's smartphone right now. And let me just give you a few of the job titles that could be prototypes of jobs in the future. So Matter programmer, neuromarketer, smart grid game mechanic, urban agriculturalist, visual analytics expert, let's see, data intensive nurses, chef farmers, and cognitive ecologists. So if you're interested in what any of those titles might mean, job titles might mean, and how the different drivers of change, as Zhenya mentioned, and the industries that these jobs might flow out of, if you're interested in what those jobs might look like and what you might be doing in those jobs, it's all online at our report. Again, www.coecccc.net/STEMin20.
Wow, that sounds like fun.
Very much.
So Centers of Excellence for Economic and Workforce Development at the California Community Colleges, coecccc.net, and /ICT if you want to find some good stuff about our industry and employment domain. And so glad to be working with you guys, and appreciate you being here at the conference. And thanks for sharing all your good stuff.
You're welcome, James. Thanks for having us.